What's the latest with the National Democratic Redistricting Committee?
We are still focused on our 2019 and 20 targets. We had a very good cycle in 2017 and 2018, and we want to make sure that we are successful using the multi-pronged strategy that we have, so that when redistricting occurs in 2021, Democrats and progressives have a seat at the table, and we have a fair process.
And this is timely now because, people have gerrymandered some of these districts seemingly for forever.
Well, Princeton did a study and said that the gerrymandering that the Republicans did in 2011 was the worst of the last half century. And what they did in 2011 has really infected the remaining part of the decade. We have to make sure that we end that in 2021 and have a fair system. Our organization's not trying to gerrymander for Democrats.
Yes,
we simply
course,
just
right.
want to have it fair. And if we make it fair, Democrats and progressives will do just fine. The only way the Republicans and conservatives win is if they cheat.
Do you agree the Electoral College should be abolished?
Absolutely. The people should elect the President of the United States in a direct way, in the same way that we elect senators, congressmen. We're the only industrialized nation that elects its leader in the way that we do. That is an anachronism that needs to be put on the ash heap of history.
Can a president be indicted?
I think so. There's a Justice Department memorandum that I have reviewed on at least a couple of occasions, and a couple times when I was Attorney General. Didn't agree with it then, don't agree with it now. It focuses on indictment paralyzing the executive branch, and I don't think that it takes into consideration the 25th Amendment, for instance, that would allow a president to step aside if he felt or she felt that his absence would in fact paralyze the government. But the Constitution also envisions impeachment, which also is a paralyzing thing. So if you could impeach, I don't see why you couldn't, indict.
Anything peculiar, strange to you in this whole Mueller report thing? I mean, I'm sure you agree it should be released, but just the way it has all unfolded, there's still a grand jury impaneled, which is bizarre to me if the special counsel's work is done.
Yeah.
It just all seems very, very strange.
Well, I don't think the special counsel's work is done. I mean, there are cases they still have to try. There's a grand jury that apparently is still in the process of receiving information. Maybe they're going to scale it down, but it seems to me that the work continues. But I think focusing on the release of that report, I think, is really critical to understand what does the non-exoneration of the president mean with regard to obstruction of justice. I mean, people need to focus on that.
Okay.
When you say that the president of the United States was not exonerated when it comes to obstruction of justice, that's a pretty extraordinary thing. And so I want to know more about that, and also want to know more about the finding that they made with regard to collusion conspiracy.
You just looking at it on the outside, and you're really not on the outside because you've seen all of this. Do you also find it hard to believe that there was a finding of no collusion?
I was a little surprised. On the other hand, Bob Mueller and the people who he had worked with him are people I know, who I respect. I just like to see how they reached that determination. So that's why I think the report has to be released. Yeah. And it may be that they find that there was not a basis to bring criminal charges, but the conduct could be so serious that it might warrant impeachment. So that's also a possibility, and that's why the American people and Congress need to see the report.